Is that working? Yeah. Please be seated. It's a really great privilege to be here, and I mean that quite seriously. This church is well known throughout the diocese, and I'm usually tied up at St. Paul's Mamarone, where Father Theodore has gone on a pulpit exchange. He's there, I'm here, I'm the assistant there at St. Paul's Mamarone, and there's a lot that we share in common between these two. One of the things we share is a love for steel band music. So yesterday there was a big concert at St. Paul's Mamarone, and some of you I know from this parish were over there. So it's great to be with you and to worship the Lord. I speak to you now in the name of the living God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I was once on a training course with high-powered instructors from the business school at the University of Toronto. One session was on public speaking, and we were told that if we attended church, the assumption was most people didn't, but some of us did, we would find that preachers for many decades now had been in the habit of doing a three-point sermon. Research apparently confirmed that this is an optimal way to get the message across. Now, I have serious questions about this, having seen too many PowerPoint sermons, but this Sunday I thought I'd give it a try. So here goes. The texts for this week contain two very powerful stories. One from the Book of Kings, with the prophet Elijah fleeing to Mount Horeb, and an equally dramatic account from the Gospel of Jesus healing a demon-possessed man. I want then from these two texts to bring before you three things we should be aware of when we come into the presence of God. Be prepared to answer questions like the ones we find in the two texts, and also to respond to God's call. Let these then be the three sermon nodes. Two questions and a command. Ones that we will see emerge from these dramatic encounters with God. So the first question is, what are you doing here? The second question is, what is your name? And the third is really the command, return to your home. Now, our Old Testament text picks up with Elijah after a bloody encounter with the false prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. And that's a text worth your reading, but it's full of high drama and even moments of very good sarcastic humor on the part of the prophet Elijah. News of Elijah's victory on Mount Carmel and the slaughter of the false prophets reaches the palace, and Queen Jezebel is incensed and sent a chilling death threat to Elijah. What did Elijah do when he received this threat? He ran for his life. 40 days, about 100 miles into the desert. He's fearful and discouraged and asks God that he may simply die. Take away my life, I'm no better than my ancestor. He is sucked into a black tunnel, as someone so aptly put it. And there's an old fable that is told about an advertisement that appeared in the newspaper, today we'd say online. And the advertisement indicated that the devil himself was putting all his tools up for sale. They would be laid out for public inspection with prices marked on them. Those who went there were able to see that there were some very treacherous tools indeed: hate, envy, lying, addictions of all kinds, adultery, murder, etc. And then quite apart from the others lay another one that looked pretty harmless, but had an exceptionally high price tag on it, twice as expensive as the others. And someone asked, what is the name of this tool? Why is it at price so high? And the devil answered, well, that's discouragement. Discouragement. It's so worn out because I use it so much on almost everyone. And it's priced so high because it's been so very valuable to me. I find it more useful than all the other tools. I can do more with that one than with all the others. I can pry into a person's heart with that one better than I can with the others. Yes, discouragement. Even for the great women and men of God, like Elijah, running far from a life-threatening authority. And God allows Elijah to run. He even sends an angel to provide him sustenance. And that's worth remembering when we are similarly discouraged and run away. When we simply want to hide in a corner, God provides food in the deserts of our despair. Elijah, that mighty prophet, runs for several days and comes to a cave on the side of Mount Horeb. And the word of the Lord comes to him. What are you doing here? It's a question sent at the moment of Elijah's greatest discouragement. What are you doing here? And you can imagine Elijah going through the possible answers, the violence and the threats of his recent past, Queen Jezebel's death threat, etc. That's why I'm here, O God. To which the reply comes, go out of the cave and stand on the mountain, for the Lord is going to pass by. There's no more dialogue back and forth. God offers him his presence. And we know what follows. A wind so strong it splits the rocks, then the earthquake, and then the fire, and after all this, there's the sound of sheer silence, a shining moment of God's presence. Pages and pages have been written about the awesomeness of coming before God. People are struck dumb. They fall flat on their faces and all. And I think we should all be amazed at Elijah's response. When he heard the sound of silence, he threw his cloak around his face and walked out of the cave to meet the living God. And somehow in this encounter, Elijah is changed. So that question, what are you doing here, draws the prophet into a deep and life-changing encounter with the living God. I've heard of people hearing the word of the Lord come to them saying, why are you here? Or what are you doing with your life? You can choose to ignore that voice, or you can move into the place where you encounter God. But today, I want you, especially if you're facing discouragement, to let the question that was addressed to Elijah be addressed to you. Because it's a prelude to an encounter. What are you doing here? And what about question number 2? What is your name? It's a question posed by Jesus to the demonized man in the gospel story. And again, as in the Elijah story, the question is part of this man's encounter with the living God in Jesus. And there's a difference in this encounter that is truly worth noting. Elijah, as we know, ran for days and days into the wilderness pursuing God. But here in the Gospel account, the pattern is reversed. The Son of God pursues the outcast. Now, the country of the Gerasenes, where this man was a Gentile territory, outside the boundaries of the people of God. It was an area of death and uncleanness, and we know from Jewish law that any contact with dead bodies would render someone unclean. But Jesus goes there, and the man, naked and deranged, sees him. The man isn't crying out for mercy. In fact, he cries out against Jesus. Why do you come to torment me? He's actually attacking Jesus and pushing him away, and yet Jesus moves towards him. He knows this man, who is at times bound with chains physically, and is deeply bound by the darkest of spiritual powers. And Jesus addresses him with a question. What is your name? And the poor man is so beaten down by the powers that they answer for him. Not with his name, but with the identity of the demons who have assailed him. And Jesus rebukes them and frees the man. Jesus acts because no one else but God should ever define us, wretched though we may be. No one else should tell you who you are, least of all the enemy of your soul. Let Jesus give you back your life, and then you will know your name, as the man in the gospel story likely came to know his. Now, what is it about your name and your relationship with God? I heard God call my name. You think of Moses, Samuel, Mary in the garden at Easter, Lazarus. Your name is the ground of your encounter with God. Jesus wants the man in the tomb, living among the dead, to come to him, but he can't without him remembering his own name. What is your name? And the question announces the power of Jesus to reach far beyond the borders of the holy community. Culturally, unclean, pigs, dead bodies, tombs, nakedness, self-mutilation, and demon possession. And the Son of God has the power to invade the realms of darkness and honor your name, the name by which you were called to life in baptism. Let that question sound quietly in your ears at the point of your greatest despair. Daughter, son, what is your name? So we must move to the third and final point. In both stories, the principal characters, Elijah and the man set free, are given not another question, but a command at the end of their respective encounters with God. And the command is, go back, return home. Elijah returns to the territory of his great discouragement, to his calling as a prophet, speaking out against the apostate leaders of Israel, but now transformed by his encounter with God on Mount Horeb. And what of the man from whom the demons were cast out? The man now seated and in his right mind, knowing his name. He desperately wants to follow Jesus, but is told, return home and declare how much God has done for you. And he did just that. Now let's think for a minute how powerful this man's new vocation was. For the rest of his life, this man would be a living testimony. This man, whom the whole city knew was once deranged, naked, and wandering in the tombs, was now completely restored to his community. He wouldn't have to say much, really. Just seeing him, people would have to connect the dots. People would understand that this Jesus had the power over the realms of darkness. Returning home was this man's vocation. I had lunch earlier this week with a young man, last week I guess. I had lunch with a young man who had risen to the top of his profession and then crashed in a way that was completely humiliating. The story of God's grace is now being written into his life as he turns to God in recommitment. He came to see that he doesn't have to rebuild another brilliant career to bring honor to God. Simply hearing God's command to return home to the people he once ran into in the boardrooms and cafes downtown, to the restored relationships, would be enough for a lifetime. Return home and declare how much God has done for you. That's a word for us too. So there you have it. Words from an encounter with God. What are you doing here? What is your name? Return to your home. Now, we are normal people, everyday Christians on the pilgrim road, not yet saints or prophets. And we find ourselves traveling back and forth between the world and all its discouragement, its failure, its oppression, between that and the place of deepest encounter with God. But on this Sunday, be assured of one thing. On this road, God has provided for you the food that will be ultimately sustaining. A table stands prepared for us in the desert as it was for Elijah. For Christians, the most glorious message is that the bread for this journey is the Lord himself. And he comes to meet us at our lowest point, even in the darkest places, even when we may have forgotten who we are. In the desert, God offers his presence. At this table, Jesus offers himself, his body and his blood. Taking it, we are changed and sent home to be witnesses of our lives.